Hey developers! Imagine being able to query your external data directly within Microsoft 365 Copilot. You've probably heard Microsoft Graph connectors enable you to connect external data sources to Copilot, which means that M365 Copilot can use this data in its responses. My name is Ayça Baş. I'm a cloud developer advocate at Microsoft. In this video, I'll show you how you can build a custom Microsoft Graph connector to bring your data into M365 experiences. Before jumping into code, let me show you how custom connectors work on M365 Copilot. We used to collect the project submissions as issues in our previous hackathon Hack Together. I load all the issues from the hackathon repo so I can search the projects I want to view. I will go to Teams and to Copilot. For example, let's say I want to find only projects related to Blazor on our hackathon. By only typing any projects related to Blazor, I can retrieve the related issues from our Hack Together repo and view the projects by clicking the link here. Great news for me, I don't have to go through 126 projects one by one. Alright, let's build this awesome graph connector to load our hackathon projects. I have this very basic .NET app with authentication, and I already created an API for collecting GitHub repositories or issues. To create our custom connector, we will use functions available in Search Connector Service. Let's start with create a connection. This is going to be our first step, and we will need to provide ID, name, and description. After providing the right details, this function will call graph client, external connections, and post a thing and create the new connection for us. Search Connector Service also has get connections, delete connection services. Our second step will be registering a schema for our new connection, and this function calls graph client, external connections. We will provide the connection ID, schema, attach a thing, and we will provide the schema as well. Our final step will be adding the external items. This will be our issues from the Hack Together repo, and this function calls graph client external connections. We will provide the connection ID, items, and put a thing for each item. Let's create our custom connector by leveraging the Search Connector Service function. Let's go to program.cs. Here we have very basic switch. We will create connection, register schema, and push all the items. Let's start with creating a connection. I will create a static async function, and we will need user input for connection ID, connection name, and connection description. After collecting all the details from the user, we will create a new connection by calling connector service create connection async, and we will provide ID, name, description, and item type. To enable create connection in our menu prompt, let's go to the first case in our switch and create a connection there. We will call create connection interactively async inside our case, and we will check if there is a current connection. Otherwise, we will create a new connection. The second step for us is registering a schema. To register a schema, we will create first item type, and we will ask user to choose issues or repos, and we will call connector service register schema async. We will provide connection ID, item type. We will choose either Search Connector Service issue schema or repo schema. Let's go back to our switch and enable register schema in the second case. We will call create schema interactively async, and we will provide current connection ID, so we can create schema for the newly created connection. Our final step is adding external items. Let's create a function for that too. To add external items, we will again provide the item type, issues or repos. To add the external items, for us it's issues, we will call connector service add or update item async. We will provide connection ID and issue item. Let's go back to our switch and add our external item step in the last case. Here we will call push items interactively async. We will provide connector service, repo service, and current connection ID. Alright, we're good to go. Let me run the project. I will open the terminal and call .NET run. Let's choose one to create a connection. In this case, we need to provide connection ID, connection name, and connection description. After providing all the details, our connection will be created. The second step for us is registering a schema. Let's choose two, and here we need to define type of data. For us, it is issues. Once we have the schema in place, we can now add external items in our connector. I will choose 3, and choose Issues. As we are calling GitHub API behind the scenes to get issues from the Hack Together repo, it already found 126 issues to push. At the moment, in our external item, we have the following properties we can use for visualizing our response. Let's go to the admin center to enable our connector for the search experiences. I will select Settings, Search and Intelligence, Data Sources, and our connector should appear here right away. I will select Create Result Type for our GitHub connector. I will give it a name for the result type. I will select a content source. For our case, it's GitHub connector. Then it's time to design our layout. I will launch Layout Designer. You can choose one of the options available here. I will choose Result with Image Preview and additional details. And here, the only thing I have to do is providing the property names. So our response for each item will appear like this adaptive card. Let's modify the adaptive card the way we want for status and assignees. Once we provide all the details for properties, let's select Create Layout. Let's go back and paste our JSON adaptive card in the Design Layout step. Our final step is selecting Include Connector Results. This step will enable results from this connection to all search verticals, including Microsoft 365 Copilot. Let's test it out. First, I will go to office.com and I can type, for example, SharePoint app. And as you can see, all of the SharePoint apps submitted in our hackathon are already available here. All right, let's test this out in Microsoft 365 Copilot. I will go to Teams and ask to Copilot, summarize list of cognitive services projects. Copilot has access to all the projects submitted to our hackathon through the connector we just created. We can read the summary of the projects Copilot provides, and we can find more details about each project in the references. As you see in the demo, Copilot can easily access the external data through graph connectors and summarize the data for our convenience. If you're interested in creating your first custom Microsoft Graph connector to bring your own data in Enter 65 experiences, make sure to check out our gallery full of graph connectors mentioned in the description. Until next time, see you everyone!